Hey everyone, today I'm going to be doing a video, a comparison video on two different paints from two different reputable companies that is a very, very common pigment, and that, it's a common named color called neutral tint, and a lot of people use this as their dark colors in their paintings. It's very, very good for that. It's not a straight black color, so it gives you that nice, rich, dark, shadowy colors without giving you that like harsh blackness that doesn't really show up in nature very often. So anyway, so I received this one here. This is the Sennelier tube of paint. I got this in an Art Snacks box probably last year sometime, I think early last year. So I've had it for a while, but I really love this color. I fell in love with just what it does. It's a very straight neutral color. And I decided I wanted to try a different brand just because I had never tried Holbein before. So I got a Holbein tube and I thought, well, let's just make this simple and just get a neutral tint because, you know, neutral tint, right? So I got Holbein neutral tint, and it is one of the cheaper colors of any brand, really, just because I'm assuming because it's really common. But anyway, so I ended up buying this. Well, I used them kind of side by side, not really. I decided to try a painting with just this one here, and it was a completely different color. I mean, not extravagantly different. It's not like going from like yellow to red or anything like that, but I noticed that it wasn't giving me the color that I was looking for. So if you can look up, I don't know if you can see that. It's a little blurry, and it's in super tiny writing right there. But the pigments are PBK6, PB15, PV19, and that is the Holbein tube. And what that means is PBK is pigment black 6, PB is pigment blue 15, and PV is pigment violet 19. So with the Sennelier, their pigment is, it's kind of bright there. Let's see. Okay. PB60, PBK7, and PR209. So that's pigment blue 60, pigment black 7, and pigment red 209. So there's already a vast difference in just looking at the pigments. And usually I look at that before I buy a paint, and I didn't in this case, just because I wanted to try the Holbein, and I didn't really care. I just said, oh, neutral tint, I'll just buy Holbein. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the differences between the two paints on a couple different papers. And if you have been in watercoloring for any length of time, you understand that there's a big difference when it comes to papers as well. And it doesn't necessarily mean price tag makes it better. It's not an automatic win for price tag. But, you know, you always hear the saying, you get what you pay for. And a lot of times it is true with watercolor paper. So what I have here is I have the Canson XL watercolor paper cold press, the Arches watercolor paper cold press. This is actually, I cut this from the block. So they have pads, and then they also have blocks. And then Fluid brand watercolor paper, but this is hot press. I like the Fluid brand. It doesn't get very good reviews. I don't know why people don't like it, but I like it okay. Arches is pretty good, and I haven't really had too many problems with the Canson XL, but if you compare it to the Arches, you can't put as many layers on it. So if you're going to do an intricate painting that has many, many layers, you probably want to go for the heavyweight paper that's probably a little bit pricier. I also have Arches Rough and Arches Hot Press, but I was not very impressed with their hot press. I found that it was lifting up and pilling on me, which surprised me because it was Arches. But yeah, so these are the three different papers I have. I actually typically use the B paper cold press because you can get it on Amazon for like $7 or $8. And it's really good as well. I feel like it's a good substitute for Arches, or a cost-effective substitute for Arches. So anyway, let's get going here. So first thing I'm going to do is show you the dispersive properties, and I'm going to start on the arches just because it's the higher quality paper. So here is wet on wet. Holbein. Okay, you can see it does spread a little bit, right? Okay. Here's Sennelier. Look at the spread on that. That's insane. Okay. So right away, let's get this up close. Right away you can see the difference in the colors themselves. The Holbein is a little bit more bluish, whereas I would say the Sennelier is more of a true neutral tint, because it's not really warm, it's not really cool, it's right in the middle. Whereas this one, the Holbein, to me, is clearly a very cool pigment or color. So I'm going to go ahead and do the wet and wet on these. It looks like, so, you know, with hot press paper, you're not going to get as much granulation just because it's a smoother press, but you can see that there's just a big difference between the two. And so just to reiterate, these are both considered neutral tint. This is the Holbein, this is the Sennelier. Holbein, Sennelier, same. So here's the cheapest paper, here's the mid-grade paper, and here's the expensive paper. And obviously, I can't see much of a difference between the two right now, but I can tell you if I were to do layers and layers and layers and layers, this one would not outlast this one for sure. And my fluid, this is good for, in fact, I don't even know if you can see that right there, but the Holbein pigment is almost separating a little bit more on the hot press. Like I can see the blue in there a lot easier than I can on the other two papers. I mean, I can see the blue, but this one, like, for some reason, I don't know if it's because it doesn't spread as far, but like the blue kind of spread more from the remaining pigment that it just seems more obvious. But anyway, so that is the wet on wet. You probably just, you know, here's wet on dry. So if you look closely, this Arches paper, I don't know if you can tell, but from the wet on dry is far superior to the Canson because it looks like the pigment is starting to separate on the Canson, whereas here it's staying very nice and uniform. And the same with the fluid. The fluid, since this is hot press, you got a much smoother I guess application relative to the cold press, but it just depends on what you're looking for as far as your painting. But I think both are very, very good. But by spreading it like that, you can really see the difference in the pigment as well. So yeah, so that is my test or my comparison of the two. I personally wouldn't say that one is better than the other. I just got used to using the Sennelier brand and I like it. I like it for its color. I also like it for its spreadability, but if I need more control, I'm more than happy to go to the Holbein because the Holbein is also a great quality paint. it applies very well. So if you're looking for a neutral tint, just keep in mind that each one can be different. Just check and make sure your pigments are what they're supposed to be or what you think you want. Again, I feel like Sennelier is more of a neutral. This one's more of a cool for the Holbein. They're both, I would say, around the same price. Sennelier, I think, is like $7 for the tube, whereas like Holbein is maybe 10. So Holbein's a little bit more higher end for that reason, but it's all up to you, like what you are looking for. So I will stick with this for my neutral, for my Sennelier for my neutral, and I'll probably use the Holbein more as like a Payne's Gray, because it is that more bluer tint. So anyway, but I hope you enjoyed the little comparison here. If you're interested in subscribing to my channel, just click on my portrait there, and if you'd like to receive notifications when I post, just click on the bell. Well, it's been fun doing this comparison. If you have any suggestions, just let me know in the comments below. I'll see you next time. Bye!